Hello again, it's me, Exile, solo playing Derail Valley. This I think is the third episode, fourth episode this one. Third episode being out and about driving trains and not just being taught how to drive them. So, last time, if I remember rightly, we had done some shunting, dropped off some cargo, and then dumped the empty wagons in a siding. Today, I think we need to pick one of three jobs here. And I think we can throw that one away because of the fact it needs a long license, and I've not got that yet, and I don't fancy getting it just yet. So in there it goes. So it comes down to two. We've got a freight haul, pipes to the harbour and town. Should take 38 minutes. Train weighs 165 tons. We've got scrap metal to the steel mill. It should take 31 minutes and weighs 174 tons. Now, the price difference in what we get paid, so the payment difference rather than price of, I should say, is about 2,800-ish. So I would be tempted to take that one if it wasn't for the fact that we're here. Goods factory in town. Harbour and town is down here, so it's not that far. Yeah, it's about the same distance as it is to the steel mill. Except we have to come out and pass the steel mill to get to the harbour and town. Now, theoretically, we could purchase concurrent jobs license 1, which would let us take two jobs. We could drop the steel mill's job off there and carry on to the harbour and town. That's a possibility. We would completely lose out on any time bonus there, because we're not going to do that in 38 minutes. So I think we'd be quite pushed to do that on its own in 38 minutes. I suppose theoretically we could come up... Yeah, I suppose we could come up around there, whatever that shenanigans is, and then down there. But that just feels like it's as long as doing that. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the steel mill job, get to the steel mill, because if we can do this in 31 minutes, we'll still get about $8,500–9,000, which added to our wallet of 24, and yeah, we have fees to pay at the minute of 1,000, so we'll probably end up with double that, maybe even triple. So even if we say $3,000 of fees, that's the report of the last job, isn't it? Yeah, so that can go. Didn't quite get it in the bin. Story of my life. So yeah, we'll take this job, and then we should do it. But what I will do is, I very nearly just put that in the machine then, because I was chatting to you lot, and that nearly broke the flow. What we will do is we'll see if we can find these free scrap metal cars ahead of time. Now, looking at the station map here, we've got a loading yard, which it's not going to be at. Passenger station, it's not going to be at. Transfer yard, that's the only place it can be. So, let's go to the transfer yard, which is here. Not in this this siding, because that's all big crates, shipping containers. That's a load of pipes. They are some tankers, that was the word I was looking for. However, this scrap metal, 42,000 kilos plus 16,000 kilos for the gondola car. That's 58. 58 again. 58 again, so... Alright, do you know what? You don't need to work it out based on the weights, because we know full well that it's going to be 3 gondola cars of scrap metal. And these are the only 3 gondola cars of scrap metal. But going through and actually seeing, we've got 3 cars, each weighing 58,000 tons. 58,000 kilos, rather. 58,000 tons would be quite a lot. So we can do the maths. 58 times 3, 174. So these 3 are clearly going to be our job. So let's bounce back over here. We've left the locomotive running because I tend to do it. I remember reading that, you know, in the instructions for the shunter that you cause more wear and tear turning it on and off. That could be, you know, an old wives' tale, a little bit like the old one about if you leave your PC on, it's less wear and tear than if you turn it off all the time and back on. It puts less strain on the components. Yeah, it's probably a bit of an old wives' tale. Well, that one definitely is, but... God, I'm still waiting for the pressure to come back, aren't I, in the pipes? But yeah, I generally, unless I'm going to be really thinking about what I'm doing, I will quite often leave the engine running, just, you know, in case you need a quick getaway. So I'm still not 100% certain why the whole area is literally one bloke driving a train. Ooh. Same as last time, started getting away from me a little bit on the downhill there. Let's just bang it back up to 30. So, once I've got that set, that should then run all the way around, which works well for me. Because what I then want to do, and I should have probably done this before bouncing back over there to grab the train, the locomotive, is let's throw some of these switches so as we're going the right way. Set the points, so that's fine. That one needs changing, that one's fine. That one's fine. Oops. Here comes the locomotive. Hop back in it. Give it a bit of a punch on the speed. That might be a little bit much of a punch on the speed, but we'll risk it for a biscuit. No, I think we're alright, actually. Yeah, that's fine, that one's fine. I'll probably start jamming on some brake in a second, but generally we're alright. Okay, here we go. Oops. I rode that on the wrong way. But it's alright because we're not on the clock, because we've not put the job in the validator yet. And that's why it's always, if you can work out which consist is going to be the one you have to hook up to, it's it's well worth doing so and getting your locomotive as close as possible. Like if there'd been, say, 2 or 3 sort of collections of scrap metal here, I'd have just pulled the train out to about here and waited there for it to packed it there, then waited until I'd gone and put the job in and been told, yes, this is the consist you need, and then hooked it up. And it still saves you a couple of minutes versus coming from all the way around at the loading and unloading bays. So this should just roll together nicely. Probably gave it a bit of break when I shouldn't have done. That's fine. There you go. Boom. Right. Back over to the station office. Grab the job overview. Pop it in the machine. Okay, so we're going to A6I at the steel mill. So, stuck on a shipping container. What we'll do is we'll check these numbers. 773, 519, 646, yeah. So, they are good, they're proper, they're all in order. Hook that up, open the pipe so it starts charging the system. Hook you up and spin you around. Okay, as we've just come from the steel mill, well, I say just, we've not been anywhere but from the steel mill. I don't think there's been any patches or updates to the game since. We should have the the switches, the points all still set. But let's have a look. So we want to be at A6I in the steel mill. So, steel mill, A6I, which I'm guessing is going to be that one on its own. So this is actually an interesting one because we're going to be coming in from the northeast. And if I go in and just drive in, I'm going to get my train stuck. So what I might need to do is carry straight on to B, get it into the centre here, then uncouple, run around, and come back in, grab the thing, and then push it into 6i. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best way. So, brakes are all off. Reverser is set to not reverse. Let's just start things moving. And again, 170 odd tons is quite hefty to get shifted, so it'll take a little bit of time. You know, theoretically, yeah, we could. I keep saying theoretically. But we could just drive in with the consist as it is and put our locomotive in the front of that siding. Because I suspect we might end up getting a job for shunting that to go and unload it. The question is that a risk we take? Do we drive in assuming that it will give us a job to then unload this scrap metal? I think we'll do that actually, yeah. I think we'll drive it in, and if it doesn't generate a job to unload the 3 cars of scrap metal, then we'll just have to clear the fees on it and take another shunter from that depot. There should be another one there normally is. And if not, once we've cashed in the job, we can always move the wagons out of the way then. Because there's nothing stopping you moving things after you've got a job. And sometimes, especially if you've pulled a couple of big holes into a place, I remember from my past playthroughs, it was sometimes you'll end up boxing in consists that you need to pull out for a future job. So there's a lot of shuffling things about, but we'll just see. We'll take it straight in, box ourselves in, and then we'll see if we get to unbox ourselves as part of another job and get paid for the privilege. So it's probably for the best that we didn't decide to take both this job and the one for the harbour, because we'd have ended up properly boxed in at the steelworks, and we might have had to do a lot of chopping and changing and uncoupling, and that is why, whilst theoretically you can take 3 or 4 different jobs with the right licenses that are going to different places on your route, you've got to be quite careful, because if you connect them in the wrong order in the yard here, or if you have to drop them off in a weird annoying place at your destination, you can make life so much more difficult for yourself, and we all like an easy life, right? I know I do. So sometimes it's just easier to, if you've got 2 jobs going to the same place, by all means take them. I know I do that, and I will be doing that once I've got the licenses again. But if I've got 2 jobs going to different places like I've just had, you know, yeah, the temptation can be, it's easy money. Yeah, I'm already going through the steel mill because of the route I'd have been taking to the harbour town, so why not take the job for the steel mill on the way? Well, because sometimes it can be more of a faff than it is than it's worth. So I've not actually paid attention to the speed limit down here, so I know I'm getting away from myself, but don't know if we're quite on track. So let's just start dragging some brake, because 50 seems like a good speed down here. Especially when we've got the triangle coming up where we know we need to be doing 40. Yeah. We should still be okay with the switches, but let's just double check. Yep, we are fine. And like I say, because we've come this route and haven't gone anywhere else, the switches should all still be set the same way they were when we came up, so it should, aside from keeping it under speed, should be able to just leave the train on its own and it'll make its own way there. But never take anything for granted, because I know there have been patches in the past that have reset all the points to their default orientation. setting, default position. So for the it's not a big hassle to check the points as you come into them. There's no more points for me to check now anyway until I get to the steel mill, when I'll need to switch the one to take us into the sidings. Like I say, we'll need to switch that one, and then possibly that one, and almost certainly that one, because I think as a default you run straight up to the turntable. But it's fine, because, you know, it's going to be, what, 2 free switches, and then that one's a 4. Until we get to the, A6i. Until we get to the steel mill, there's not a huge amount that we need to do. So keep the throttle under control, keep the speed on line, you know, in line with what the limits are, and just crack on, really. See, I've changed the graphical settings a little bit, and the reflections do look a little bit better than they used to, because it used to be that you'd have the reflections were all wrong for what the actual scenery was. You'd have a mountain next to the river and there'd be no reflection of it, or you'd have no mountain and there'd be a reflection of a mountain. But I've changed the graphical setting about reflections, and that seems to have resolved that. And yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? Literally unplayable before that. Mountains reflecting where there are no mountains. God. Yeah. No, I grew up in the era of 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit consoles and gaming, so if we're being completely, you know, legitimate, the first ever games console I ever had was an Amiga CD32. Then after we had that, we got a SNES, because the CD32 was decent, but you couldn't play Mario on it. And, you know, what sort of kid... I say kid. Was I a kid? Well, I wasn't a teenager, so I guess I was a kid. What kind of a kid doesn't want to play Mario? So we got a SNES, Super Nintendo. Ooh. That bell is telling me that I was hot. I don't need a bell to tell me that, but it's proving me wrong as far as the whole, oh, the only thing we need to worry about is the speed limit. Well, I neglected engine temp, didn't I? But it's okay, because, you know, the bell goes off, it says the engine is currently getting close to being on fire. You should remove your throttle if you can. Just reduce the throttle rather, not remove it. If you remove the throttle, you're not going anywhere anytime. Just dial it back a little bit, let it cool down, and there you go. Which does actually remind me that there is an important thing about the orientation of this train, this locomotive, in that I think we're alright here. 80, yeah. Out in front of it, this bit here has got the radiator. This bit back here does not. If you lead with the front, as I am, with the radiator, your temperature soon gets back down to good. If you go the other way, not quite so good. You don't get as much cooling, and whilst you're shunting in yards, it's not that much of a problem. But if you're trying to pull goods, then yeah, the moment you come up against an incline, you're going to have a bad time, and it's not going to go well for you. So we're now coming up to the tutorial siding, so we'll come past that in a moment. Oh, that's a graphical glitch. Just a hole in a mountain, hole in a hill, hole in a cutting, whatever. But yeah, so I don't know if it is with the bigger locomotives, but this one definitely, you need to keep that in mind with the keeping your radiator forward, because otherwise you're just going to end up with no chance of getting up a hill. Speaking of which, I definitely needed to add a bit of power a bit earlier than I did, but there we go. I don't mind. I'd happily take a slowdown to give you some useful tips and information. And again, I'm no expert. I don't proclaim to know everything about the game, but what I do know, I've worked out through playing it, and even though there have been a couple of big updates since I last played it for any amount of time prior to these couple of videos I've done, I feel that a lot of the knowledge is still, this is how you drive a train. They've not necessarily changed how the physics work, they've not changed how the train works. I still wonder if this fan actually does anything, except from turn that light on, because I know it used to be that it did nothing. I now need to be the next set of points, don't I? That one. Oh heck. Not them. Them. Let's do a run. Yeah, 6i. So again, you see, this is the issue to watch out for I was talking about. As we drive this in, it's going to become 100% clear to anybody with eyes that the locomotive is going to be blocked in by the freight cars, by the freight wagons. Now, like I said at the beginning, my hope is that we'll drop this off, take it to the station office, tell the little computer that, hey, we brought you three gondola wagons of scrap metal, and it will then go, oh, cool, go take those and unload them, and put the empty wagons somewhere. And that way, I'll just be able to reconnect to them, push them to the unloading bay, unload them, and drop them off somewhere else. If the little computer goes, cool, that's somebody else's problem, not mine, then, well, then we're going to be a little bit stumped, and we'll have to go and retrieve the second shunter, which should, if everything's gone quite to plan, should be up at the turntable. Are we here? Are we stopped? We're stopping, that's fine. So, whoop. In fact, no, I need to put... In fact, I'm just gonna... Because the brakes apply when there's no air in the pipes. So if I do that, it dumps all the air out the pipes, and the brakes apply. Station office... here. So everything should be in order. There we go. I'll pick that up once I've got my cash. Oh, 8,961. We are currently minted. Yeah, base cost, base payment, time bonus. No damage. Happy squirrel. Into the bin you go. Damn it. Into the bin you... Damn it. Into the... Oh my god. Right. So. This looks promising, doesn't it? 2 drop-offs, unload and store a train with scrap metal from goods factory in town. That looks very promising. Given the only other shunting jobs are... oh, there's 2 actually. Let's put that one in our inventory so it doesn't bugger off. Unload and store a train with argon. So that's definitely not the one we just brought in. And load and prepare a train with steel rails for departure. Again, Not the one we just brought in. Oh, that one's also shunting by the looks of it, but that's very much, again, prepare a train for departure. So, I suspect this job is going to be our train that we've just brought in. Now, the 2 drop-offs tells me that these wagons are going to need to go to different places. It's probably going to be 1 to one siding and 2 to another. Well, it's got to be, hasn't it? Because you can't do 2 drop-off with 3 wagons if it's not that way around. It might be 1 to one and 2 to another, or 2 to one and 1 to another, which is the same thing. But again, I think this has probably been 25 minutes, half an hour of your time. I think I will have a look through some of these jobs as well to see if there's any that I want to do after we sort that out, because once you pick up a job, it's yours, basically. It doesn't despawn, it just exists in your inventory until you pop it in. But if you leave it on the table, well, you're leaving it on the table. What the hell have I just done? Where am I? How have I just teleported upstairs? Okay, well, that's a thing I managed to do. But yeah, if you pick up a job, it's your job. If you leave a job on the table, it can despawn, be replaced by other jobs. I've had that happen once or twice in the past, so I don't know if it still does, but basically, looking at everything that's set up here, I'm going to need to buy a license, possibly. Freight haul to machine factory in town. Could take both of those. Would be over the shunters weight limit, but machine factory in town doesn't have too much uphill. I might just spend a bit of time doing some shunting, but there we go. That's going to do for today. I'll grab them too. We'll have a look at these at another point. But yeah, thank you for watching. And as always, you know the YouTube drill. Don't need to tell you to comment, like, or subscribe. You'll do it if you want to anyway. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed just being able to drive a digital train. It's been quite fun. I do intend to keep playing Derail Valley for at least a little bit longer. I'm not sure how long it'll be before, you know, we're at the point where I've unlocked all the trains and licenses. I'm guessing, in fact, let's see. At the start I said we'd be almost double, almost triple. We've actually got 4,000 in fees, so that's that was quite a bit of wear on that. But licenses, let's have a look at what we've got. Yeah. 200,000 for the DE6, which I'm guessing is the diesel electric 6. The big train that we saw back at the goods factory. Goods factory, was it the goods factory? Yes, the goods factory. Train length, hazmats, wow. Military, wow. So yeah, even if I decide that once I've got all the licenses, that's it, I'm done, I'm stopping playing, I think we've still got a good number of jobs to do until we get there. So we'll be doing this little series for a while, so don't worry, it's not going anywhere soon. As long as there's content for me to do, I'm going to keep doing it. But yeah, I probably said this before now because I've just rambled on for a couple of minutes, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.